Welcome to Swim Segments. I'm your host, Brandon Oates, also head coach of the Beavers and Beast swim team. This week, Knight and I will be joined by assistant head coach Kristin Buchanan, two-time Olympian Keith Beavers, and our very own Beast alumni, Rafik Jiwa. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy the show.
Hey, man, how you doing this week?
Very good, man. How are you? Weather's been really good. I've been getting a lot of outside stuff done, which is positive, but I think we're going to get some rain and bad weather this weekend, so trying to get it all done. How about you?
Yeah, just been staying busy and pretty crazy with the snow this morning. Did you get that down in Wellington area?
Oh, no, they were calling for it. I thought that was a joke. No, it's been fine. We got rain, but not snow.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. It didn't really stick in the ground, but anyhow, we have an awesome show this week. We had 3 great interviews with Kristin, with Keith Beavers, which was amazing, and also Rafik too. It was just excellent interviews. So the show's a little longer today, but I think it's awesome. So hopefully going forward, we'll keep bringing out these segments. So what do you got planned for us?
Today, we're going to be building from the dreams and goals, what I was talking to last week. So I'm focusing on habits, how to create habits, maintain habits, and basically the whole process of what it takes in order for a habit to be successful.
Well, that's perfect. All right. Well, I think, we're good to go. So let's get into the interviews and go from there.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Let's go.
Welcome, Kristin Buchanan, our assistant head coach. Thank you for coming to the show.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right. So how are you holding up in Scarborough now that, you're with your husband and not being able to go out, considering you were living in Belleville so far away from him before. So how are you coping under all these circumstances?
Well, you got to be careful what you wish for, because all I wanted I was like, I just want to spend time with my husband. And now that's all I can do. So you got to be careful what you wish for. No, it's all right. He's working from home, and we're just hanging out, waiting this out, and trying to avoid, leaving the house, which is like totally counterintuitive to like everything. I'm so used to like leaving the house at like 4:30 and coming back at 8:30 p.m. So like 4:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. So to be in the house all day, every day has been interesting. A lot of like getting creative in the kitchen, getting creative with workouts. And that's about it.
Awesome job running the workouts. So I've seen you 3 times a week doing that. Probably constantly going out for runs. I think doubled anybody else in the 2-kilometer runs, like a dozen of them last week. So thank you very much for running all those workouts. I know that it's there. Maybe you want to say, so Kristin runs Instagram workouts Tuesday, Thursday, 5:30, and
so Sunday always at 10:30 a.m. And then Tuesday and Thursday kind of alternate depending on what Dominic's work schedule is, so that I'm not like yelling and playing music during his work time. So this week it is 4:30 workouts. I like 4:30 time slot, but sometimes I have to switch it to the 5:30. So this week, Tuesday, Thursday, whatever this week is, April 7th today. And then I'll always announce what time the next week's workouts are going to be on that Sunday. So, full body on Sundays, Tuesdays are lower body, and then Thursdays are upper body and core. And I just try to have limited equipment or have exercises that you can either use equipment or not use equipment, or use, instead of dumbbells, grab soup cans, or instead of dumbbells, use resistance bands. So lots of different options for whatever you have. I myself I have one long resistance band, a couple of smaller resistance bands, and then one dumbbell, 120-pound dumbbell. And that's like, I'm getting really good workouts. I feel fit. I wish I could go to the gym, mostly because I miss like seeing people, but you definitely don't need a lot to get a good workout in. So if anybody hasn't tried them out and wants to join me, it's at Kristin B Fitness, Kristin B_fitness, and Kristin is KRISTININ. In case you can't find me, that's why.
Awesome. So you're still going to be running one on Easter Sunday as well?
It's just another day, so yeah. Why not?
Awesome. So next question. So explain the feelings you have being off deck and away from coaching our incredible swimmers.
Yeah, I'm sad, really. I wish, I miss everybody. I miss the routine. I feel like we were on a really good track so far this season, and it's disappointing, obviously, I'm sure all swimmers are disappointed. We're disappointed. I guess the only sort of comfort is that literally everybody in the world is in this position. So it's not unique to us. We'll all be dealing with it moving forward. So whatever you can do now, sleeping enough, eating right, working out in whatever way you can, try to stay fit. That I think when we get back in the water, we'll really be able to tell who prioritize other aspects of their health. So I'm disappointed and I'm sad, and just like everybody else, but under no circumstances will focusing on the negative, uncontrollable things in our life ever benefit us. So yeah, it sucks. How can we make it suck a little less? So yeah.
All right. Let's go back to your swimming days. You got any of your, or what are some of your fondest memories from swimming, both as a Barracuda and even as a Titan when you first started?
Yeah, I have so many memories. I started my swimming career in North Bay at 9, and you were one of my very first coaches back in North Bay. So for anybody who didn't already know that, Brandon was one of my first coaches, and now 16 years later, full circle. 17 years later, full circle, and now I'm working with him. So that's pretty cool, and it kind of goes to show how tight-knit the swimming community is, and just how strong and long those relationships can be. I think my very first earliest memory from being a Titan would be my very first provincial meet, which is now festivals, but I was 10. I was really excited to be there, but mostly I just really wanted a sweater that said provincials. So I got the sweater on the first day, wore it all weekend, super proud of it, swam well. But mostly I just really wanted to go home with my sweater and wear it to school with my medal. And, I still have that sweater, and it was that. Everybody knows you go to swim meets for the sweater, right? I'm just kidding. But I was really pumped about that sweater. So end of the meet, Sunday, come out of the change room, my family's standing there, and I just stopped dead in my tracks. Because I'm look at my sister, who doesn't even swim at this point because she's 7. And Courtney has on this provincial sweater. And I'm what are you wearing? I dropped my bag, and I was what is that? You didn't qualify for provincials. You don't even swim. And my dad goes, oh, it was on sale. It was 50% off, so I got her one. And I was so mad. I wanted him to return it, and she's just standing there what? I got a sweater too, and I didn't do anything. And I wouldn't let her wear it to school. I was very adamant about that. And so I held on to that grudge for a good long while and brought it up randomly over the years. And then finally, 7 years later, Courtney was about 14, and she qualified for age group nationals, and I didn't. And so she brought me back an age group national sweater, and I didn't qualify, but she did. And so she got her sweater, and she brought me back one too. And then, said, hey, we're even. So I'm not allowed to bring it up anymore, except for in this video, because it's a good story. So yeah, it was a long-standing joke / grudge that evened out over time. So that was a memory, I guess, from my entire swimming career. But I guess as a Barracuda, which is where I just down the road, Erniestown Barracudas, swam the majority of my age group swimming life with Gord, would just be all the team travel and being on the bus going to team champs. And we did little silly things like playing games during the swim meet, like whether it was cards, we had a scavenger hunt that we would do for team champs, and just all those memories of, bonding with your teammates who are, still my friends today. So I think that's what it really comes down to too at the end of your swimming career. Like, yeah, best times are awesome, but I don't remember any of them from those swim meets, but I can remember, specific silly things that we did, dancing on deck, funny cheers we came up with, stuff like that. So it, yeah, I guess, and I'm still building memories. I mean, from McMaster too, just all my best friends today, my whole wedding party practically was, swimmers that I married. One of my teammates, Dominic, was on the swim team with me at McMaster. And I guess the biggest memory from that would be the fact that they got up at our wedding and did our big team cheer. There's like 20 Mac alumni there, and, surrounded us at our wedding and did this crazy, the McMaster team cheer is like crazy nonsense. No words make sense. It's just like rambling. So to hear like 20 people yelling in unison these crazy words at our wedding was like very emotional and beautiful. And yeah, so we're still building memories.
That's cool. So a couple of things out of that. Yeah, I did see that cheer. That was pretty amazing. That was a great.
Yeah, it was cool.
Another plug, you mentioned Gord from Town. We're hoping that Gord Emerson, the head coach of the Ernesttown Barracudas, will join us next week on the show.
Awesome.
Good. So last question here. Anyone that knows, you were our Junior Beast program coordinator 4 years ago, did that, and then coached a little bit of novice on the side, and then ended up actually even for a job at human resources and stuff. So this question goes with that. So after a little brief hiatus from coaching, how did you feel coming back, and how has your passion grown since you were promoted to the assistant head coach role? And in addition to that, any special messages to our swimmers before we send off here?
Yeah. Well, while I was coaching, like when I first started coaching with Beast, I was at Loyalist College. After McMaster, I went and did post-grad in human resource management, and just honestly because I, didn't really know, what do you do with a psychology degree when you're not gonna go do more psychology? So at the time, that was kind of what all the graduates were doing, some kind of post-grad in human resources or something along those lines. So I went and did that. And even along the way, my family or friends and, is this really what you want? And I was already doing it. So I convinced myself, yep, this is what I want. But deep down, I think I knew, coaching was definitely my passion. That's what I love to do. But the timing just, at the time, I got a full-time job offer with human resources. So I was doing that and then still coaching a little bit, driving back and forth. And then at the end of the season, decided that I wasn't going to come back because I was working in Kingston. And, just everything kind of just aligned and the timing worked out. I'm not really someone who chalks things up to fate or anything like that, but I feel very fortunate and very lucky that the timing worked out, that I was able to come into this position, because it's just like, I never imagined that my career could be like so fulfilling. Like I really, I was ready to just like put my head down for the rest of my life, I guess, at this desk job. And, not something I loved, but that was okay. And now, I love my job. I can't wait to get back to it. And I guess my message out of all of that is just, be patient. And for all of you right now, like that feel like, you've kind of lost your job or your purpose, I guess it kind of feels like, right? If you're a swimmer and you don't, your job is go to school and your job is to train. And now you don't have that. Do the little things right now that get you, ready to come back. and just be patient and consistent. And there's really no limit to what you can achieve. You're not going to achieve it all today or in a year or, all at once, but just don't be afraid to go after what you want. And, really just don't be afraid to chase your dreams.
All right, well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for your time, Kristin. We greatly appreciate this. And I can't wait to be back out on deck, hopefully at some point this season, and sharing some time with you, coaching the kids.
Yes, I can't wait. I miss everybody. I missed the smell of chlorine and all those good things.
Okay. Well, thank you, Kristin. Take care.
All right. Bye.
Hello, Beast. Welcome to It's Go Time with Coach Nyden. Hope everybody's doing well. Today, what I want to talk to you guys about is habits. Last week, we were discussing dreams and goals. I hope some of you guys dreamt a little bit more while you were sleeping, or possibly set some new goals for once this whole situation ends and we get back into the water. That being said, I did want to speak to you guys today about habits, okay? Goals in swimming, I think, are very important because we all should have goals. We all should be trying to make festivals, regionals, try to go to the Olympics, make national teams, etc. That we spoke about. That's what we spoke about last week. But having some goals in order to slowly get to that point is also very important. But as swimmers, sometimes getting that goal is shaving off a fraction of a second from getting 30 seconds to 29.99, or getting a festival time or regional time. And in order to do that, we need habits. We need good habits in order to get us to that next level, okay? So that's what I want to talk to you guys about, is creating good habits in order to help us achieve our goals and eventually our dreams, okay? So there's a couple steps, 8 steps to creating a new habit that I'm going to quickly go through today, okay? The first one is focusing on one habit, okay? Focus on a habit. Usually the best way to do this is to focus on one habit at a time. You can focus on different habits if it's different parts of your life, but this is obviously swimming related. So let's say you want to create a new habit. Creating a new habit takes a lot of willpower, okay? So you focusing on 5 different little things throughout a practice might not be the best way. You should always try to do that, but in order to really focus on one habit, you need to focus all your willpower. An example of this that I'm going to be relating to is, let's just say you have to hold a streamline off every turn, or you don't want to breathe off the first stroke after your streamline. These are habits that I think Kristin, Brandon, and I always try to tell all our swimmers all the time. Holding the streamline, not breathing after the first stroke. So that's the example I'm going to be using most of today. But just focusing on one major thing per practice, or one habit, is very critical. So when you create a habit, focus on one. Step 2 is, a lot of people might say, is how long does a habit usually take before it becomes something that you just do day to day? A lot of people defer on this. It's hard to say, but typically you should be expecting between 22 and 66 days. Now that obviously can vary from person to person, but for this exercise, if you guys decide to try to create some habits over the next couple weeks, or while we're outside the pool, let's focus on 30 days. 1 month of accountability. So when you create a habit, let's focus on 30 days. Step 3 is basically another great way to create a habit, is to attach it to an existing habit. So going back to the streamline position, let's just say you have a fast flip turn, which is fantastic. You've created that habit, great, okay? You succeeded at a fast turn, you made a new goal, great habit. Then you pushed off and your streamline is fantastic. The only thing that you don't have now is you sometimes need to breathe off that first stroke. So attach your habit to another habit. So let's just say you're very good at holding a streamline. Just use the streamline as your indicator. Okay, this is what I'm going to be working on. I'm not going to take that breath after my streamline. So when you're creating a habit, try to attach it to another habit. Another example of this could be if you want to start watching what you eat, maybe while you're brushing your teeth at night, since that's a habit that you do all the time, that after you're done the last meal of the day and you're done brushing your teeth, you go to your notepad, to write down what you wrote. Okay, attach that to you finishing brushing your teeth. That's going to hold you accountable, and it's just something that you can do. Okay. The fourth one is baby steps, okay? When you create a habit, it shouldn't be something absolutely crazy that you've never done before. So just like goals and dreams, when you create a smaller habit. It shouldn't be like a dream, like you're just going to do something absolutely insane that magically will happen, because that's not going to be the case. Create a small habit so you can actually achieve it. Very similar to what goals are all about. So when you're not taking that, don't try to say, I'm not going to breathe for 5 strokes off the wall. Okay, that's something that probably won't happen. Try to say, I'm not going to breathe for 1 stroke. Just do something, a micro commitment, in order for you to achieve that habit. So just start small, focus on 1 stroke rather than 5. Don't do something drastic. If you want to start running outside, don't say, I'm going to go run 20K today. Run 5K, run 3K, run something small that you can actually achieve and do. Because if you set these massive goals, it's more likely that you might take a turn and not breathe at all. You might breathe every stroke. You want to be holding yourself accountable and doing it over and over and over again. So don't do something that's monumental. If you try to run 20K, you might be in so much pain after the second day that you don't want to run anymore. Okay, so it's better for you to run a smaller distance every single day than running 20K once and then needing 4 or 5 or 6 days to recover. Step 5 is preparing for obstacles. Okay, so some obstacles that could happen are pain, weather, space, costs, or self-consciousness. Okay, these are just examples, but basically understand that when you're creating a new habit, there's going to be obstacles. Obviously, weather and finances, that kind of stuff is not really relatable. But going back to my example, know that when you're swimming into the wall and you're about to do a flip turn and you're not breathing before you do the turn and you push off, it's going to be tough. You're not going to have as much oxygen in your lungs. You're going to have to hold your breath more. You're going to have to kick faster and get to the surface in order to take a couple strokes in order to do it. So just know that there will be obstacles along the way when you're setting these habits. Okay, the number 6 is creating accountability for your habit. Okay, and that can be as simple as, if you have a habit of running every single day, then put it on social media, let people know that you're doing it. When other people see you doing something, that's the accountability that you might need. Okay, so even at swim practice, ask your coach, did I breathe that well? Have you noticed me not breathing? I feel like I'm going faster. Let people know what you're doing so you hold yourself accountable. Okay, that's a really good thing. The last 2, just because I want to wrap things up, is reward and milestones. Okay, step 7 is rewarding yourself when this habit is slowly working out. Okay, you should always celebrate your wins no matter what it is. If you can hold your breath, feel good, get a drink, let people know, let your coach know, and they'll give you a compliment. Let your parents know, celebrate it. You know, if you want, go for a movie. If it's something, do something fun to celebrate your win. And step 8 is finally just building that new mindset. So every time you go push off the wall and you hold your streamline and you're taking that and you're not breathing after that first stroke, it slowly just becomes a habit and you're doing it. And the next thing, you can set yourself a new goal of breathing every 3 strokes, or or setting a new habit of breathing every 3 strokes. Anyway, that's all for me. Hope everybody's doing well, and I'll see you guys next week. Take care. Bye.
All right, welcome to 2-time Olympian Keith Beavers. Thank you very much for joining the show.
My pleasure.
All right, so I'm going to start off just asking you how everything's going, and how's life in the quarantine here with your kids at home?
It's been interesting for sure. Obviously, nothing like this has ever happened in our lifetimes, so it's new and different. I'm obviously out of work and spending full days with both my boys. I've got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. It's a lot of work, but I'm actually enjoying it and looking at it from a positive side. I don't think I'll ever have an opportunity to spend this much time with my kids, probably ever, realistically speaking. So things are going well. My wife is still working, but we're holding down the fort pretty well.
That's awesome, and yeah, I can definitely attest to loving the time with the kids, and I've thought that exact same thing. Like, I don't think we'll ever have an opportunity like this just to be with them 24 hours a day. It'd be crazy, yeah. But I love it. I love it. So I wanted to get right into some of your highest career achievements. So is there any memorable experiences or anything that you can talk to me about? You went to both Athens,
yep,
in 2004 and Beijing in 2008.
That's right. Yeah. So it was 2 very different experiences for me. The Athens Olympics, I had pre-qualified for it already, even going into the trials. I kind of knew what was going to happen before I even went to the trials. And then I had a bit of a disappointing Olympics once I got there. I think I made a number of kind of mental and maybe training errors leading up to the games. I actually hurt myself, slipped on some stairs right about a week and a half before the games. So the whole thing didn't really go as planned, and I ended up 12th in the 200 backstroke and then 16th in the 400 IM. I ended up being a little bit slower at the Olympics than I was at the trials, which obviously is not what an athlete goes to the Olympics to do. We go to do our best and represent our country to the best of our ability. So that kind of colored my whole experience. Now, the Athens Olympics themselves was fantastic. I mean, it was in the home of the Olympics, and there was a big celebration, and obviously they did a very good job putting it all together. So the experience was good, but of course it's colored by your performance as an athlete. Whereas Beijing, on the other hand, that was very different because I came into the trials not knowing that I was going to make the team. I had to do it. I was injured at the time. I was injured all the way leading up to the Olympics. I had a torn rotator cuff all the way through that year. So I had to kind of manage that. And then the expectations going in were the same, would be to represent my country to the best of my ability. And I swam, it was the best meet of my life, obviously. I set 2 Canadian records. I would have set 3, except Brian John swam in the heat before me in the 400 IM. So he stole that one from me. And he still has that record, of course. But I had an amazing experience there. And then obviously Beijing was just wild. They put so much into hosting those games. And I got to say the favorite experience for me in Beijing obviously would have been, getting ready for the walkout before the Olympic final in the men's 200 IM. Just sitting back there with, the 7 other fastest guys on the planet. You're getting ready to do what you do best, and then walking out into that crowd, and there's all these people cheering and screaming. My family's up there. And just the 10 or 15 seconds between when they announced my name, because I was lane 8, so I was the last one to be announced, and when they blew the whistle to get up on the blocks, that was one of the best 10 or 15 seconds of my life, because I just stood there and just took it in and realized, how long it had taken for me to achieve that, and I just really enjoyed myself at that point.
Okay, well, so leading up to all that and stuff too, like, what was a typical training week when you were into your peak performances?
Yeah, so there's kind of 2 answers to that, because I had 2 different coaches from one games to the next. So I originally moved to Waterloo to do my university there, and I trained at the National Training Center with Bud McAllister, who trained Janet Evans. So he was a distance-oriented coach, and so my training with him was a little bit more mileage. So a typical week with him would have been in somewhere in between 65 to 75 kilometers of IM-based training. Quite a lot of like threshold type of training. So getting right to lactate threshold and just trying to hold it there for as long as you possibly could, mixed with a lot of meters, and just training myself to be very, very fit. Whereas when I switched to Dean, I stayed in the same location, but they shut down the training center. So I trained with Dean Bowles, and he was a little bit of a different orientation. We focused a lot more on the quality of things. So I did a lot of faster stuff, a little bit less distance. So I would say I was swimming between 55 and 65 kilometers a week. So quite a drop, because I was a little bit older. I had more miles on my shoulders, and so it was a little bit friendlier for me that way. But a lot more focus on very, very fast stuff, and trying to take advantage of every minute that I had in the pool. So that was kind of my typical week.
So you're a coach now for Queen's University, and I believe you helped Kingston Blue Marlins out.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. So can you kind of go into, like all those special moments that you just talked about as an athlete? What are how does it feel similar? How does it feel different being on the other side, out of the pool, watching the swimmers in the water?
Yeah, it's different. It's different being removed from it just that one step, rather than directly experiencing it. But I would say as a coach experiencing both the highs and the disappointments, it almost feels the same as being the person that actually did that. I'm sure you can sympathize with that, because you've tried to put the work in, and you've tried to work with these athletes and these swimmers achieve what they want to achieve, and then you get to some small part of their success, but you also obviously get to a small part of their defeat and their disappointment as well. So that's one thing that's a little bit similar and different. And then the other thing I realized, and this came early on when I started coaching, because I've been coaching for over 10 years now, which is crazy to me. But the biggest thing for me was learning to recognize in an athlete when they were different from myself, because I had a very finely tuned idea of what I needed to do to swim my best. And that is not the case for everybody. And it is everyone's different little idiosyncrasies and the way they like to go about things is going to be different from person to person to allow them to swim the fastest. So that's the biggest difference for me is learning to listen to a swimmer and to watch a swimmer and figure out, okay, what is their individual need and how can I best address that individual need, rather than me trying to try a top-down approach and say, oh, this is how I did it, so this is how you should do it. Because I don't think that works nearly as well.
I think one thing, maybe as a coach, but more so as a swimmer, and I'm sure you still hop in the water and swim the odd time nowadays,
Yeah.
right? Going back to, say, that time that you were in the water 20 hours a week or whatever it might have been, right? Or more, I gather 20.
Yeah, 20 plus, yeah.
So the swimmers that are kind of doing that now, but need to be out of the water given the situation and stuff too, is there any words of wisdom or advice that you can give them to get them through these tough times?
So the first thing I would say is number one, recognize that everybody is in the same boat. Everyone's doing the same thing, and so the only thing that you can do is control what you can control. So if you're able to control how you're eating, how you're sleeping, what physical activity you get in during the day, how you operate on a routine. These are all things that you would be doing normally when you were swimming, so you might as well carry them on through so that by the time everyone is going back to the pool and everyone can actually get back to their training, then you may have an advantage if you've taken care of yourself really well during this time period. So yeah, obviously this is a really unprecedented thing, and it's very hard to manage and deal with. I imagine, especially from a psychological perspective, I know, me being away from work isn't quite the same thing, but I was an elite athlete, and I know what it would feel like if I couldn't train for a very, very long time. You just feel yourself kind of slipping away from everything that you've known. So whatever small pieces of your lifestyle as a swimmer that you can keep in check and maintain as we wait for things to reopen up, do it, because that's probably your best bet at being ready to go when things open up again.
That's awesome. That was just absolutely a wonderful interview here. So thank you so much for your time. Greatly appreciate this. Hopefully a lot of kids on our team and other athletes out there will see your messages here, because I think this is so important. But again, thank you for your time, and
you're very welcome
in this strange period here. So.
All right. Best of luck. Take care.
Thanks. If you thought I was going to sing you a song, you're mistaken. I don't have any musical talents. In any event, we do know that there's a lot of swimmers out there that have some hidden abilities that they would like to share. So if you have any swimming related songs, or can play any musical instruments, or want to share lip sync of anything, we want to add some musical component to our show. So please send any clips through, and we'll include them in a segment in the upcoming weeks. Thanks. Right now, so welcome to the show, Rafik Jiwa. Thank you very much for joining us.
Hello. Thank you for having me on the show,
Okay, well, we have Emery that wanted to say hello.
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 Wanted to say hello.
Hello.
And Grady that wanted to say hello.
Where's Grady? Grady down there?
Get up.
Get up. Get up.
Hey, oh, jeez.
He's right there. So how's Simon Fraser University, and how are you enjoying your time at West?
Yeah, SFU, it's a great school. I really love it out there. I'm in environmental geoscience right now. So it's like it's a little bit of geology with environmental science sort of all mixed together. The swimming is great, My team is really my second family out there, right? And I love it. I love being on the West Coast. I love every minute of it. It's a great place to be.
Excellent. So what's the biggest difference between training at the age group senior level versus varsity?
Definitely probably the biggest thing you're going to notice off the bat is just the workload. Going from like Belleville to SFU, you're not going to be the fastest swimmer on the team anymore. You're not going to be even, maybe the best at your event on the team, right? When I got on the team, I wasn't even the fastest butterflyer there, right? So going from Belleville to that environment was a huge, huge change. And the workload just with school, and the weightlifting is a lot more often, a lot more frequent. But, something stay the same is that, being a good teammate, right? And, being with all your teammates, and they really do become your family out there, right? And being able just to work with them and, really enjoy the time you're having with them, it's a lot of fun, for sure. You become a lot closer to your first year teammates, especially when you're all on res and, you're eating every meal together pretty much, right? And a lot of you guys have all like the same introductory course and stuff. You become really close with all your first year sort of cohort of people.
Good. So before we kind of talk a little bit about the past, just wondering how you're doing here right now. Obviously, you're back home in Belleville during this situation.
Yeah.
So how's it going?
Right now, it's it's not being out in Burnaby for sure, but it's home. It's where where my parents are, where my heart is, right? It's nice to be home, right? Especially this is a weird little time we're in, right? So it's nice to be home during it, right? Don't have to worry too much about going out to get groceries, and just there's less stress for the whole family being all together. It's nice.
Good. All right. So going back to the club here, any of your most memorable moments here with the team? A lot of people are still around and might know that we've got quite a few newcomers to the club. So any stories that you'd like to share with them about your time at the club?
Probably the most memorable thing for me is probably going to like the regional meets at Nepean and stuff, especially when my brother was swimming and I was in like that middle session and he had the mornings and prelims I could sleep in, and then me and some of the other boys, the Jarvis boys, right? We'd all get together and we'd play wall ball in between their sessions, right? And then also, having like those regional meets at Belleville, they have a really nice atmosphere. There's a lot, it's loud, it's, aggressive, it's fast racing, it's a lot of fun. It's really, really fun being there. Probably those are some of the things that stand out the most. I think the Eastern Ontario region has a really good, sort of vibe to it. It's got a really good attitude to it. So I really like going to regional meets.
Okay, so even regional over like provincial and national level meets too? That's just a different type of memory, or?
It's a different sort of, when you have regionals, you have a lot more people there too, right? And that's just, the more people that's there, the more fun you're going to have, right? I remember age group nationals at Quebec City. I think it was maybe like 2015 or something. That was really fun because we had a really big group of kids there. We had like probably like 6-7 kids on.
Something like that, yeah.
We had a really big group, so that was a lot of fun. But like those meets when everybody's getting together and cheering on everybody at finals and stuff, that's what I really love that.
True. Yeah, I know, and it's tough. Like we, you and I spent many sessions, just the two of us, or just one with us or something too, and that's at the same time though. I gotta say, I was really amazed on how well you were able to rise the occasion. Right when it counted, you could throw down your best performances, and isn't really a question that I was going to bring up, but yeah, can you explain at all how you were just able to come out and be so clutch?
The biggest thing is doing the hard work, right? Do the really hard work, do it when it's not fun, and it'll pay off for sure. you know, being able to sort of keep a little bit of mindfulness during, you know, like that sort of end of the season, like nationals, provincials. It's a lot of back-to-back racing, right? Or not really back-to-back, but more like it's a lot of really intense training and really intense racing. Being able just to keep, you know, a positive attitude, right? And whatever's going to happen is going to happen as long as you give it 110%, you know, and just train really hard. You're going to be able to come out clutch when you need it.
Good. So going forward, what this whole situation, I guess, is unfortunate, but with the Olympics getting moved back a year, this might even be a better situation for you, right?
Right. A little bit older, you know, a little bit stronger, hopefully. This year was a little bit weird with training, but, you know, I'm hoping a final for 200 fly. That's a goal I'm setting. You know, I'm hoping I can do that, and that'd be really amazing. You know, I haven't been to an Olympic trials. I didn't go to 2016, right? So this would actually be my first one. So it would be really cool to go and get a final, you know, see all like the walk on and stuff like that. I remember when I was younger, we went to the 2012 ones in Montreal just to watch. And that was really cool seeing, you know, all those fast swimmers and stuff. So I think being a part of that would be really cool.
And I know you can do that.
That'd be fun.
So last question here. What is your advice to the, you know, younger beast swimmers and stuff too, on what to do, you know, during this situation that we're in right now, as we move forward, and as they get into their later years of high school, getting ready to move on to post-secondary? If you can kind of share a whole streamline of advice there.
Definitely. Right now, I mean, you know, just try to stay active, you know, just try to stay busy, right? You don't just want to be sitting around doing the same thing, right? Try to get in a routine, but like switch it up every once in a while, right? Right now, you know, it's we're in weird times, right? You know, it's a pretty serious virus going around. So, you know, just staying positive, staying with your family, right? That's why I came back, right? You know, stay with the family, try to lower any stress, right? You know, your parents stress out about you a lot. I realized that, you know, growing up a little more, right? Your parents worry more than you know. So definitely being with them, just, you know, staying with the family is really important. For like training and stuff, probably just doing the work when it's not fun is when the work really counts, right? When it really starts hurting, when it's really not fun to do the work, or, you know, when you got to sacrifice something. Those are sort of where, you know, the difference is made between being able to, you know, outtouch your, you know, opponent. What is it? You're somebody you're racing, right? Right. So just putting in the hard work in it when it really is not fun to do it is really important. And, you know, when you're moving forward into high school, you know, sort of later university, for me, I think the biggest thing that I can tell anybody, you know, especially if they're looking to swim later on, is find a school that will value you for you. Find a team that will value you for you, because that team is really, you know, in university, you're going to be away from your parents, right? You're going to have a lot more work. You're going to have a lot more stress and stuff. And finding a team that, you know, really values you, right? And really cares about you is really important. I think, you know, find where your family is going to be, because it really does become your family really quickly. All right. You're going to go in and you're not going to be the fastest on the team, right? You're not going to be necessarily the best on the team. And, you know, you're going to have to put in some work and find an environment that will, you know, push you to become the best version of yourself. Right. That's definitely one of the biggest things, right? You know, the name of the school, right? How much money you're getting, whatever, that matters less. What matters is that, you know, you find a family and you find some people that are going to make you the best version of yourself possible. That's the biggest thing.
Awesome. Well, that's perfect. So thank you so much for taking your time to do this. You take care of yourself, and we will see you soon.
See you soon. Bye. That was good.
Well, that's it for our show this week. Thank you very much for tuning in. We do realize that this week's episode was twice as long as our pilot. However, we're going to be taking those interviews, bringing them down separately, and posting them to YouTube individually and sharing them via our social media platforms. If you haven't submitted your 2-kilometer run challenge time into Kristin, please do so as soon as you can. As well, too, be sure to join her on Easter Sunday at 10:30 a.m. for her live Instagram workout. Next week, we'll bring in some Ontario coaches to talk with us, and we hope you can join us as well. So thank you so much. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Bye.
Stay safe. Wash your hands. Bye-bye.